also suffers immensely for the loss of their loved one. In order to honor those served, members killed in the line of duty, and their families, the City of Boston is proud to offer the opportunity to dedicate a Hero Square in recognition of an eligible service member. To be eligible for a Hero Square, the service member must also have been a City of Boston resident and killed in the line of duty. The Hero Square is normally a sign erected on a post at an intersection close to the service member's home or neighborhood. In 2015, Mayor Walsh appointed a very special Marine to fulfill the duties of the Commissioner of Veteran Services for the City of Boston. She considers her role as a public servant a continuation of her role in the Marine Corps, and has been an honor to work under her leadership. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the Commissioner of Veteran Services, Giselle Sterling.
Yay. Yay. On behalf of Mayor Walsh, I thank each and every one of you for being in attendance today. And I'd like to start our ceremony with the presentation of our colors and the catch pen.
Color guard, attention! Very colors. Forward, march. Colors, halt. Left, face. Present, arms.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, arms.
I'm going to have everyone come in a little bit closer. As Daryl mentioned, we have about 1,200 of these Hero Squares throughout the city of Boston. And every time we have one of these, and I'm listening to the stories, it really is a reunion. I understand there's family here that haven't been together for about 40 years, and then folks in the community and friends here to not just honor his sacrifice and celebrate his life, but also really support the family and the legacy of Dennis Leroy Morrill. And we can't really do this without the support of our city and local elected officials, and someone who's always been a friend to Veteran Services and the veterans of the city of Boston, Councilor Matt O'Malley, who's here with us today, and I'd like to invite him to say a few words.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm incredibly honored for this opportunity. I obviously didn't know Dennis, but getting to hear some of the stories about him, obviously the fact that he is an American hero who paid the ultimate sacrifice, the absolute least we can do as a city is to mark his service with a Hero Square dedication. I've done probably 24 of these or so since I've been in office, worked very, very closely with our incredible Veterans Affairs Commissioner, Giselle Sterling, and it truly is the highlight of what I get to do. So procedurally, the way it works is the City Council has to first pass a resolution, which we did in January of this year. It is very rare that the Hero Square will actually be so close to where the hero lived, but this is such a wonderful we were able to do it with Dennis's ancestral house. And just to think of the number of kids in this neighborhood that walk down the street, that maybe for a moment we'll just stop, look up at the sign we're about to see, and just reflect on someone whom they never knew, but because we all get to enjoy living in the greatest country in the world because of people like Dennis. And that's just a legacy that will endure through the ages. So very briefly, I will read a council resolution. It's a constitution of myself, Councilor Matt O'Malley. Reads, whereas Dennis Leroy Morrill, born December 2nd, 1950, was raised in Jamaica Plains. Whereas Dennis Leroy Morrill was commissioned by the United States Army as Private First Class on July 14th, 1969. And whereas Dennis Leroy Morrill was stationed in Vietnam during the Vietnam War, serving in the 101st Air Division. And whereas Dennis Leroy Morrill died honorably as Private First Class, fighting for his country on March 20th, 1970, inTua Tien, Vietnam. And whereas Dennis Leroy Morrill was posthumously awarded the Purple Heart, the National Defense Service Medal, the Vietnam Service Medal, and the Republic of Vietnam Campaign Service Medal. Therefore, be it resolved that the Boston City Council honor Dennis Leroy Morrill for his service and his sacrifice by dedicating a plaque on the intersection of Marmion Street and Germania Street in Jamaica Plains in his memory. It passed unanimously by the City Council, was signed by the clerk, supported by Mayor Walsh and Commissioner Sterling, and it is, again, just an incredibly small token of an incredibly grateful city for Dennis, for his family. We're enormously grateful for all he has done and all you continue to do for us. He is a real American hero, and he will never, ever, ever be forgotten. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Of course, none of this could be possible without that one person who's really spearheading this. And that one person everyone here, I think, is familiar with, and that's Maureen. And I'm going to ask Maureen to come up and say a few words. Oh, really? Yeah. I need my notes.
Tried to keep it brief, but Travis knows that Miss McDermott is a long talker. But I'm honored to be here on this momentous occasion of the Hero Dedication Square for my uncle, PFC Dennis Morrill. I wish that my mother could be here. Yes. My mom, Dad, but she's unable to travel because of health reasons. So fortunately, they're watching live on Facebook from South Carolina. There are so many people here today that I didn't really ever expect would come, and I don't have time to thank everybody, but of course, Giselle Sterling, you're the best. I couldn't have done it without you, Daryl, and your signature was the highlight of my day when I got the resolution, so thank you, Matt O'Malley. I also want to extend appreciation for this day to Paul McMurtry, representative for the District of Norfolk County, and his Chief of Staff, Jody Lanza, who also contributed to helping me organize the event. I want to especially thank my students who are in the Color Guard from the Community Academy of Science and Health. Cash, we're proud of you. Thank you so much for being here today. And Sergeant Major Kelly, who is in boot camp, and Chief Mills, their fearless leader. My Uncle Dennis grew up at 55 Marmion Street, as you all know, which is the house right here. And we are standing here today, so many years later. I'm just remembering as a little girl running up those stairs where my grandmother lived and my aunt lived on the first floor. Dennis was very close to my mother and visited us often. He would always carry his guitar with him and sing to us when he babysat. His favorite was Elvis, as we've already shared with you. But I remember the song that he would sing to us as he tucked us in at night. And we would fall asleep listening to him sing. And it was, I Just Want to Be Your Teddy Bear. And when he would come over, I'd be like, you sing the teddy bear song? And he would. And he would just sing that over and over as many times as we wanted him to. He was a teenager, and we were just little ones then. After Dennis graduated from Brighton High School, he turned down a full scholarship to Northeastern University for engineering and enlisted into the United States Army because he wanted to fight for our freedom and was ready to make the sacrifice if necessary. In February of 1970, he went to Vietnam under Operation Texas Star, which was a covert operation, and their job was to carve a fire base out of the jungle. He was very close to the Ho Chi Minh Trail. I've read letters where the men could actually hear them talking, the People's Army of Vietnam. And he was in the A Shaw Valley, well, east of the A Shaw Valley. On the morning of March 20th, 1970, Fire Base Granite was assaulted by the People's Army of Vietnam, and PFC Morrill was killed in action by enemy fire, defending the fire base. Dennis was just 19 years old. The loss of Dennis left a deep wound in our family, and as I grew older, I began to understand what he had endured for our country and our freedom, and the enormity of the sacrifice that he had made. It became important to me that his heroism not be forgotten. I began to contact and communicate with veterans that I found through the internet, doing research and networking with veterans organization over a period of 15 years. I learned about Dennis's brief life in Vietnam and realized that he died a true hero's death. Dennis was posthumously awarded the Purple Heart, the National Defense Service Medal, Vietnam Service Medal, and the Republic of Vietnam Campaign Service Medals. There were other ones there too, but I have no idea what they are. You can find it on the virtual wall. In speaking with veterans, I discovered that Dennis had continued singing and playing the guitar while in Vietnam. A veteran named Joe Vistanti, who was a medic on the Fire Base Granite and shared the same hooch with Dennis, told me that Dennis used to go around the base singing Ding On's song, The Wanderer, and therefore that became his nickname, The Wanderer. Another veteran, Doug Moniachi, told me that he met Dennis on R&R when he was on R&R, and he was amazed that Dennis could play the guitar with both his left and right hand. With encouragement and support from these veterans and the help of Sergeant Major Kelly from the Community of Science and Health, I pursued my desire to obtain this plaque and dedication in his honor. I would like to also mention Dr. Ralph Matkin, author of Chronicles of Vietnam, Colonel Higgins, who wrote to me about the battle at the fire base, where 12 Americans died that morning. Survivors of the attack on Granite, I also spoke with Anthony Nazaro and Steve Smith, who supported me on this journey. Without the help of our veterans, we would not be here today. And I want to say, God bless our veterans. Thank you so much. So today we gather here together at this square to honor and thank my uncle Dennis, PFC Dennis L. Morrill, for his bravery, dedication, and diligence, and for making the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. Our family has had an open wound for 48 years, and hopefully with this hero dedication, our wound will now heal. Today, Dennis not only becomes recognized as a hero with this plaque, but becomes a part of the history of Jamaica Plains in this wonderful city of Boston, and his memory will live forever. In closing, I would like to say, Uncle Denny, I prayed for this day because we didn't want you to be forgotten. I cannot remember if I saluted you at your funeral because I was very young 48 years ago. So today, we all salute you and we welcome you home. Welcome home, PFC Dennis L. Morrill.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
If we could have any more family, please join us as we unveil the hero square.
Oh, okay, I got it. I can't right now. I can't.
So one last piece that will be added to this hero square is a plaque that'll have a brief bio of Dennis, where he served, any awards that he was given, but also a QR code so that anyone who passes by that has a smartphone can actually scan that and see a fuller picture. So these stories that you're sharing, if there's any videos or photos or letters, we can put on an online memoriam for everyone to see and really be a true part of it.
Oh, that's wonderful. I do have some letters. That's nice.
And one of the first pictures that will be on that will be this group shot. Everyone here is a part of history as we continue to do these hero squares and honor our heroes. So I'm going to ask everyone to get behind or actually in front of the hero square so we can take a group photo. So come on in. Don't be shy. I'm going to have you guys step up more. And Cash, actually, if you guys want to join us as well.
Oh my God, attention. March.
Yes, absolutely. We have one final prayer.
Today, Dennis and all the veterans that have generously served our country, and those who are still today are members of the armed forces, always praying for them, that the Lord may protect them, so that this country may be a country of freedom and peace. We remember those who have gone. You know? I'm the pastor here at Our Lady of Lourdes, and this church, like others, have always helped people, probably like your family, to find always an answer in God to the whys of our lives, and when we miss someone, hoping that we will see them again. And as I pass this street many times, every day, we will remember Dennis and all the veterans that generously have given their lives, so that we may have a free country today and a good place to live. And so I bless now this plaque, this memorial, and so that it may be always a reminder for all of us. Let us pray. O God, by whose mercy the faithful departed find rest, the veterans find rest, bless this memorial with which we mark the life of Dennis Leroy Morrill. May he have everlasting life and rejoice in you with your saints forever. And we ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll visit you and come to all of you on Sunday.
That concludes the ceremony. Maria, I want to thank you once again. Thanks to the post 62, is that who? 76 for coming. I know we have members of the Boston Wounded Veteran here as well. Thank you again, Councillor O'Malley. And again, as we go forth through the day, just keep Dennis in our minds and the rest of the veterans who pay the ultimate sacrifice. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Stop recording.